Hello YouTube. Today we're going to learn how to use Simplify3D. More specifically, we will learn how to download and install the application, set up for use with your own printer, import a 3D model, prepare the model for slicing, slicing the model, and finally, getting the model to print on your 3D printer. Each of these sections will be linked to in the description if you would like to skip to any specific point in the video. Keep in mind I will be using a Mac throughout this video, so the installation process may be slightly different if you are using a PC. However, the software on both platforms are very similar. I'm also assuming that you already have knowledge of 3D printing and the jargon of the 3D printing community. Let's dive in. Download and install Simplify3D. To do this, open your favorite web browser. I will use Safari, and navigate to simplify3d.com. If you have purchased the software already, click Account here at the top right, and then type in your username, password, and log in. This link right in the middle of the page is what you're looking for. Download Software Installer. Click that. Select your operating system. As I said before, I'm using a Mac. And click Download Software Installer. Once the download is finished, click on the application in your Downloads folder. The installer will load, and you'll just follow it through the normal setup procedures except the agreement and install. If you have not purchased the software yet, you'll want to click the Buy Now button, click Add to Cart, and go through the normal checkout process to purchase the software. You can then go to Account and download the software installer. Once the installer has finished downloading the software, you can click on Finder, Applications, Simplify3D, and double-click the application to open it. Importing a 3D model. On the left-hand side of the software, you'll see an Import button. Click that, and it will open up Finder, where you can select a file to import. Search for a .stl formatted file. I'll choose this one, and it will load a preview into the virtual build plate of your printer. On the right hand side, you'll see a vertical bar with a few different options. Over here. These are all different ways you can control and manipulate the 3D model you see sitting on the virtual build plate. The arrow is used to drag the model in circles. The second one is used to move the object around the build plate. This one will resize the object, so you click on the object and drag out to make it larger or smaller. And this one will rotate the object on the build plate. And these next four are default views of the model. Preparing the model for slicing. This is one of the most important things when 3D printing a model. You will want to visually inspect the model and look for any overhangs that may require support material. This means if you see a point in the model where the nozzle will be trying to print in thin air, you will want to add support structure to it. The model I have has many of these. There are two ways to add support: manually or automatically. I would recommend automatically. To do this, click the Support button on the right-hand menu, and then click Generate Automatic Supports. As you can see, this added a lot to our model. Each line represents a point in the model where it will add more plastic to support. So when the part is being printed, nothing will be printed in thin air. There will always be something to print on top of. This will ensure a quality print. With the support menu open, if you need to remove supports, you can click Remove Existing Supports, and then any support material that you click will be deleted. If you need to add more supports, it gives you a line, and you can add support structure where you think it's necessary. Slicing the model is as simple as clicking Prepare to Print. This is a warning saying that we've added support and not selected it. If you click yes, it will automatically select and generate support. Down here you can see the progress of the slicer. It shouldn't take very long, as this software is known for being very fast. Once it's done, you can take a look at the preview. You can move the sliders on the bottom from start to finish to see the print in action. If you change it to layer, it will go layer by layer. Zoom in a little bit here. If you go line, it will show each line being printed. Either way, this gives you a good idea of how the print is going to look as it is printing. If you see any abnormalities, you may need to go back and add more support material in certain places. Such as this overhang right here would probably not print well, and I would want to add support material from the bottom of this arc to the top of this point to prevent it from falling. Printing the model on your 3D printer. It's time to print. There are two methods here depending on your setup. If your printer is connected to your computer, you can click Print over USB, the top button here, but be sure that your computer won't go to sleep and ensure it remains connected to the printer during the entire print. The second option is used when your printer is not connected to your computer and runs by SD card files. In this case, simply insert your SD card into your computer and click Save to SD card in Simplify3D. That's the second button down here. Once the file has saved, you can plug the SD card into your printer and select the file to be printed from the menu on your printer. Manual controls. One important note is where to find the emergency stop button and manual printer controls. Click Tools, Machine Control Panel. This window will display the connection status to your printer and has all of the manual controls that you may need. The most important one is the big red emergency stop button in the top right hand corner, which will terminate a print and stop all movement as soon as you click it. If something goes wrong and your print starts to fail, you can click this button in order to prevent damage to your printer. The Machine Control Panel is a separate window that you can leave open while you minimize the main program, so you always have access to it. The G-Code Library tab is where you can store things that you have prepared and sliced. This allows you to slice a few things and have them ready to go for back-to-back printing without having to prepare the part in between each print. Communication is where you will see the live G-code. This is the language that slicers use to convert 3D models into printer movements. Temperature plot will show you a line where you have the temperature set to. It'll be a dotted line up here somewhere, and a live reading of the current temperature on your hot end, usually an arc from 0 up to that line, and then it'll stay at the line that you have it set to. Lastly, jog controls will be where you want to go if you want to manually move the hot end or want to home it. Moving the hot end would be as simple as moving it in the XYZ coordinates. You can also extrude or retract filament from your extruder using this menu. And there we have it. You now know the basic processes to use Simplify3D to print. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and if you found this video helpful, subscribe and like.